It is now 4:30, and we will open it up for our Brunswick City Commission executive session. So I will open it for a motion to open meeting now. Solid.
Called meeting.
Special call meeting. Solid. So do we need a motion to go into executive session? That's what I was. Okay. So now I'll open it for a motion to move into executive session.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion. We move to executive session for purpose of real estate and litigation.
Hearing that it is a first, do I hear a second?
Second.
Hearing a first and a second, all those in favor show by sign of aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the same. Hearing none, we are adjourned to executive session. Sorry.
Okay. Yes, Mr. Mayor, there is a motion. I move to approve the filing of interpleader in Glenn County Superior Court.
Hearing the first, do I hear a second?
Second.
Hearing the first and a second, all those in favor show by sign of aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the same. Hearing none, the motion passes. With that, we will adjourn. We will open it for a motion to adjourn executive session, and then we will enter into a recess until 6 o'clock where we start the regular meeting. So do I have a motion to adjourn from executive session?
Motion to adjourn from executive session.
Hearing the first, do I hear a second?
Second.
Hearing the first and a second, all those in favor show by a sign of aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the same. Hearing none, the motion passes. We are adjourned. Good evening. We would like to call this Brunswick City Commission regular scheduled commission meeting to order. If we could all please stand for our invocation and pledge of allegiance. Let us bow. Father God, we thank you for the Christmas season. We thank you for being able to come together during both Thanksgiving and our holiday season to get to know each other a little bit better, to see the lights together, to enjoy our family and friends a little bit more. We ask that you keep everyone safe inside of our city limits, and as those who travel around this great nation, Father God, bless us all with your spirit. Bless those who are up here making the decisions for the city. Bless them in their courage, and bless them and their family for their sacrifices as well. In your son, Jesus' name, we do pray. Amen. The United States of America, to stand, the nation, dear God, liberty and justice for all. Want to take a moment and just thank all of our firemen and all of our police officers for being with us this evening. I know we are honoring some people this evening, but it's a joy to have you with us, and thank you all for your continued sacrifice and everything you do in and for our community. With that, we will move on to the approval of the agenda and the adoption of the December 3rd, 2025 regular scheduled meeting agenda. Do I have a motion? Or is there any addendums or subtraction? Sorry. Hearing none, we'll open it for a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve the December 3rd, 2025 regular scheduled meeting agenda.
Hearing a first, do I hear a second?
Second.
Hearing a first and a second, all those in favor show by the usual sign of aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the same. Hearing none, the motion passes. We will now move on to public comment. Mr. Williams, is there anyone signed up for public comment? Ms. Collins, can you please come?
Good evening, Mayor Johnson,
Good evening.
city commissioners, our elected officials. Hope all of you are doing well. I have come before you multiple times, and I thank you for the opportunity. This evening, I come before you as a concerned citizen And I want you to know once again that a high alcohol outlet density problem exists within the city of Brunswick. Let me remind you that high alcohol density means a high concentration of retail alcohol outlets in a small area. Such a high concentration is known to be an environmental risk factor for excessive drinking. Again, I remind you that Dr. Waller, our vice chair, and I have extended our willingness to be of assistance to help this city commission and your administrative staff better manage the already high alcohol outlet density problem. Are you aware that excessive alcohol use is responsible for about 178,000 deaths in the United States each year? In Georgia, excessive alcohol use is attributed to more than 5,200 deaths, more or less, each year. In 2010, excessive alcohol use was associated with an economic cost that is lost labor and lower work performance, property damage, crisis, and criminal justice needs, healthcare costs for injuries, amounting to $249 billion in 2010. Added to these costs is a toll on people's health, quality of life, safety, and well-being. Within the Urbana Perry Park neighborhood, we do not have any neighborhood grocery stores that sell fresh vegetables, fruits, meats, and more. I repeat, neighborhood grocery stores. We have a Waffle House and McDonald's, but not one family-style restaurant, family-oriented restaurant like Arte's or Don Q's. In Urbana Perry Park neighborhood, we do not have family-oriented game rooms. However, we do have 5 alcohol outlets within the neighborhood, and we'll have at least, that number will equal 1 more when Aldi's in Lanier Plaza opens. On tonight's agenda, the number of alcohol outlets for the renewal license is high. And by my count of that number, 17 are restaurants. Apparently, this city commission regards the alcohol outlet density problem as a boon for the city. In reality, it is an environmental and public health problem. One of the businesses for renewal tonight has been a blight in our neighborhood for years. We have repeatedly identified our concerns to the city commission and the prior city commission. We have addressed our concerns to the current administration of the Brunswick Police Department and the former administration. We have documented our concerns to the city manager, assistant city manager, and department heads. Repeatedly, no action is taken. You have ignored the voices of us. More importantly, you have failed to help my neighbors. You've also failed to help our neighbor. Thank you for your time.
Any additional public comment?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Commissioners. Appreciate the opportunity to come before you to speak. I too am very concerned, as Ms. Collins, about the number of alcoholic outlets that are in our neighborhood, that it outnumbers the amount of recreational activities that we have for community members and their families. But I wanted to speak directly about how or what the Business and Economic Development Department of the city is going to do about a possible community analysis or assessment to see what would actually benefit or what businesses would actually benefit the community, so that we, of course, can have economic growth and revenue for the city and the county overall, but also to provide opportunity for jobs and entrepreneurial endeavors. So I wanted to make sure that that is on record as having to to request that assessment or analysis for the city, and to also offer my, my help, my assistance in any way with that. I don't know how I can actually help or what I can do, but whatever it is, if you call on me, I'll be available to assist. But I wanted to make sure that we are really taking a good cross-sectional look at the city as a whole to see what kinds of businesses that we can bring to Brunswick, to be progressive and to actually to find an opportunity to bring that additional revenue that's needed for the city. Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor. Bobby says hello, by the way. I know that shouldn't be part of this, but I'm going to do it anyways because you gave me a mic. Commissioners, hello. I've talked to several of you, and city manager. Don't have my glasses on, so I can't really. I just, over there, is that him? Okay. Hello. Anyway, your signs are shiny. No, I'm here because of the cemetery. My family has had a plot in Palmetto since 1953. I returned home 6 years ago and I said I would take care of it, but I wasn't sure of what was going on, how it was done. Maybe in the past, as much as the city owns it, y'all were taking care of it. I don't know. And when I say y'all, obviously decades ago, things have changed across the country as it is, budgets and all. So I started looking into it because I thought, well, wait a minute, I'll take care of it. But then I had talked to Otis last year, the supervisor, about an issue. Then I spoke to several of you commissioners this past summer late. Apparently you have a contract with the landscaping company, which frankly I felt was scamming the city of money because they weren't doing the job. However, June Jordan says do your homework. So I delved into it further to know who's responsible for what. I still feel like they're not doing their job out there, although I talked to Mr. Alberson, a couple of weeks ago and finally figured out, oh, okay, it's our private plot. I will take care of it. So now our plot is flagged. I don't know if that's good or bad, but it's flagged. And I'm joking, I do have a dry sense of humor. So we're going to take care of it, but I still feel like it's not being taken care of because you'll see dead grass laying around, which it's okay to have a thin layer that will degrade into the ground, and the nutrient is important for that. But when you have piles of dead grass, it kills it, okay? And I know we want to be proud of our city and how it looks, and the cemetery can be part of that. So there is an issue, number one, with are you really getting your bang for your buck from the company that y'all contracted with? Number two, it sounds like they're supposed to be doing a specific job. The plot owner, myself, should be doing a specific job, but yet then I know there's Otis and his temps that are maybe out there too. So I still think you've got a little bit of a situation there as for figuring out who really should be doing what. And frankly, in talking to Commissioner Williams, that's you. I don't have my glasses on. I just see that shiny sign. That maybe it's not good having a contract with them, but maybe trying to hire some people that will specifically work at the cemetery and take care of it. Granted, the summer is the worst time of year with the growth and all for cutting. Lastly, I went to the office yesterday, down to the cemetery office. You go up the 6 steps and wow, it's right there as you walk through the door. And as a senior, I didn't need that reality check that there's a cemetery office there. But I said, well, y'all have a pamphlet? No, there's nothing. Just people come in, pay their $600 for Palmetto. It's different for Orange Grove, if I'm not mistaken. But there's nothing given to them. So maybe their rights and responsibilities as for taking care of that plot, which I think that you all could ask of the private ownership. It's just like renting a home or something like that. So that's my second point. And lastly, I know that you're running out of spaces. It's changed from when I was growing up. The traditional, visitation, burial, more and more people are being cremated. So you may have a land issue. And I don't know if y'all know, and if it still holds, after 70 years, you can exhume bodies to make more room in a cemetery. And I think the plot right next to ours on the south side, there's a marker there next to a headstone, the headstone 1887, if I'm not mistaken, to 1930. There's a marker, no headstone. I don't know if that family's even around anymore. So that does create an issue for you all in trying to keep track of who is at this, still coming to the cemetery. Are there still family members, things like that? So I wanted to bring it to your attention. My situation for now is rectified. Myself and my uncle will take care of it. And then down the road, we'll figure something out. But money, who in the heck really should be out there working? And then just the cemetery itself, you're dealing with a change. And I don't know, that's a heartfelt change, and I don't know the answer to that. So I wanted to speak to you all about that tonight. Thank you, and enjoy the holiday season.
You do.
Thank you, you as well.
Mr. Mayor, may I? Point of privilege, please.
Yes, ma'am.
And this is towards, Madam City Manager. A year ago, in November, I had a meeting with ACM Berquist and Director Aberson in reference to the cemetery and having a SOP, a standard of operation procedures, so that the citizens to be full aware of what to expect and how we are or will, if necessary, take care of the cemetery plots that are private ownership. To this day, I have not received or seen the draft. I was told it only takes about 3 to 6 months, and I would have received that draft. So I am giving or requesting that I have a document, a draft, by February. By the first meeting in February or before that.
Thank you, and that is noted, Commissioner Atkinson Williams. Any additional people for public comment? With that, we will move on to recognitions, presentations, and awards. Georgia Chief of Police, State Coordinator, Mr. Ed Denmore, to present Brunswick Police Department 2025 Recertification Award. Thank you for being with us.
My pleasure. Good evening. Yes, I'm here representing the Georgia Chiefs, specifically the state certification program. Tell you a little bit about the program, so in case some of you don't know the details of it. Somebody that retired 33 years out of law enforcement from a state certified agency, there is only currently about 15% of all agencies across the state that are able to achieve what your department not only achieved initially, but recertification, which recertification presents its own set of challenges because the first time, kind of get a pass on some things. Second time, you don't. So there's 141 standards that covers 9 chapters. There's actually a little bit more than 141 standards because a lot of standards have subsections. All those subsections are their own standards as well. So the chief steps outside and says, I want to be known for the best practices and policies across the state. Not operate a police department that covers everything from hiring, promotions, operations, investigations, the entire function of a police department. You have 3 years to complete the process. Each year you have to prove documentation on each one of those standards. At the end of it, certification manager, which in your case is Amanda Barnhill, contacts me. We set up a on-site team to come in that consists of usually a senior executive law enforcement person from another agency, and then another certification manager will come and spend 2 days in the department going through every file, interviewing staff, making sure they meet what they say they do. That report is then submitted to me. I review it for accuracy. Then I submit it to what's called the Standards Review Committee, which is made up of 12 peers from state certified agency. They look at it. They can either suspend it, revoke it, or pass it on to the Joint Review Committee, which is made up of 4 chiefs and 1 sheriff from certified agencies. They then examine it. They give final approval for the agency then to receive certification. So it's not just one person coming in and checking the files. So I commend your chief for stepping out and saying, I want outside people to come in and look at our practices and our policies and how we follow them. So my distinct honor tonight to present the recertification to the Brunswick Police Department that was achieved August 2025 and runs through July of 2028. Before I turn it over to the chief, and she can certainly do it too, there's always that one person who's actually responsible for coordinating all the files and doing the work and calling me and making sure they're okay and so forth. And that's Miss Amanda Barnhill. Chief, on behalf of the Georgia Chiefs and the state certification program, congratulations. Job very well done.
Thank you so much. Before I speak, if I could just have a second to introduce our new Assistant Chief, Mr. Ben Herron, to my right here. He comes to us with many years of experience, and he's familiar with state certification. But could the Brunswick Police Department please stand? This award does not just belong to me. Every member of the personnel worked for this award. Every member was brought into this process, and it was a very strenuous process. And I'm sure Mr. Desmore could contest that in a transition of police chiefs, police departments rarely make it to this point. So thank you to the men and women of the Brunswick Police Department. Thank you to our certification manager, Amanda Barnhill. She worked tirelessly and effortlessly to get us to this point. Thank you very much.
Chief, we thank you and all of our officers for your continued legacy of excellence. So we want to thank you all and thank everyone who is a part of bringing this recognition to the city of Brunswick and to our officers. With that, we will move on to presentation.
Excuse me, Ms. Mayor, after presentations, could we get a department photo?
For sure.
Thank you.
We'll move on to presentation of Officer of the Year Award to Ms. Jasmine Jordan.
I wanted to do her last so I could keep my eyes dry, but we'll press on. Over the past year, PFC Jordan has consistently demonstrated dedication and persistence and exceptional work ethic in every aspect of her performance. She has taken on tremendous responsibility of preparing the evidence room to make sure the department is following state certification standards and evidence handling procedures. Despite this challenge, Officer Jordan has made remarkable progress and shown great initiative throughout this process. So when I asked for nominations for Officer of the Year, this is what was told to me about Officer Jordan, along with my own personal knowledge. This year, PFC Jordan was involved in one of the most stressful situations any officer can face, an officer-involved shooting, where she made a split-second decision based on the information available at that time. She doesn't feel she did anything great. She thought it was just another day at work. Since that incident, she's had challenges, but she continues to show up professionally every day with strength and commitment to her duties beyond her primary role as evidence custodian. It's not rare, not every day that an evidence custodian gets in such an event on a normal day. PFC Jordan consistently goes above and beyond to support the department. She readily assists with criminal investigations, inventory, and other administrative or operational tasks outside of her normal responsibilities. Additionally, she frequently supports special investigations, including search warrants, ensuring evidence is properly handled and processed through completion. PFC Jordan has maintained excellent working relationships with outside agencies. She handles these collaborations with professionalism and without complaint, demonstrating her commitment to teamwork and service. And so on today, the Brunswick Police Department presents its 2025 Officer of the Year to PFC Jasmine Jordan.
You got family here, so you know you gotta say something. Yeah.
I'm gonna try not to cry. But I got my notes right here. Yes. Whew. I am deeply honored and truly humble to stand here this evening to receive this award for Officer of the Year. I want to give all honor to God for getting me through all these challenges I have faced this year. This recognition means more to me than I can express. And I want to start off by thanking my department, leadership, starting with Chief, and now our new Assistant Chief, and the selected committee for believing in me, doing my work ethics with this department. I want to thank my fellow coworkers and my officers that I work with side by side every day and being there for me and supporting me through my times this year. I want to thank my family and friends that I invited this evening for being my foundation and supporting me and putting up with me. I truly want to thank my husband and my children for being there for me every day through thick and thin. I'll get to my notes. Ooh. Thank you to the community leaders. Thank y'all. Receiving this award does not mean I am done within this department. If anything, this is a motivation for me to work harder, serve better, and strive to be a better officer for this community. Thank you for this honor.
PFC Jordan, if you want to bring your family up, you can go ahead and get that picture now. Come on. And we will stand up behind you. Whoever in the back, don't make us do like we in church. See ya.
Hey, come on, come. You just move it like.
Look, ready? Ready? Sir?
Yeah.
Ready?
Yeah.
Look.
You cannot see me, I want to. Wait, no, okay, we're gonna do, finally, I love it.
With that, we will move on to presentation of Civilian of the Year award to Miss Rachel McDade. Chief Smith.
It's an honor for me to award this presentation tonight to Rachel McDade. Rachel has been also very instrumental and detrimental to my successful transition into the office of chief, as she served as the administrative assistant under the chief of police. Rachel also serves as our budget officer, and so she is all things Brunswick Police Department. And so, Rachel, I appreciate you and everything that you've done. I've watched you grow in the last 11 months, and I can say that you have truly deserved this recognition on today. And Brunswick Police could not carry on without you, at least not today. Brunswick Police Department's 2025 Civilian of the Year is presented to Ms. Rachel McDade. Thank you, Rachel, for your dedication to the department.
Okay, wait, I'm gonna have y'all scoot over. Okay, perfect. Ready? 1, 2, 3. One more. Perfect.
Rachel, I see you trying to scoot back. You don't have anything to say? You sure?
Just thank you. As I say, they see me work, they hear my voice when I get stressed out, so thank you.
Thank you.
With that, we will now move on to public hearing for new alcohol beverages. Deputy Brown.
Good evening. I am here to present a new alcohol license for retail sales of beer and wine for 3001 Altama Avenue. The owner will be Anchor Patel. The store name is Discount Stop One. Everyone knows it as Davies on the corner of Altama. What? 4th Street? No, first 4th Street. Parkwood. I'm learning my zones. But he is here today for any questions, and so am I, Mr. Patel.
Good evening, Mr. Patel. If you could just tell us a little bit about your business and kind of what you plan on doing there. I know it's an existing business, but if you just let us know.
Yes. Before that, I had a Lucky 7, which is right next to it. The reason I sold that business because I couldn't spend time with my kids because the hours, they were longer. This Davies, the hours, they're a little shorter, so I can spend more time with my daughter and my son. So that's the reason that I bought it, you know.
Wonderful. And if you could tell us a little bit about what happens in Davies, what kind of business you have in Davies, if you're selling sodas, candies, fruits, vegetables, what are your hours of operation, kind of stuff like that?
We're open from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. Monday through Saturday. Then Sunday, we open a little late from 8:30 to 8:30 at night.
Wonderful. With that, I will open it up for any questions or comments from the commission. Hearing none. There are no questions or comments. You could step to the right for me and, or your left, my right, I'm sorry. And, we will now open it up, for public comment. It is my custom to leave it open for 20 seconds if no one comes forward. So it is now open. We'll try and wait that 20 seconds. Seeing as if no one has come forward, we will now close the public hearing period. And if there are no questions or comments from the commission, we will now open it for, oh,
Mr. Mayor, I just want to make a comment. I
Yep.
attended the NPA last night in which Mr. Patel presented to them the NPA chairperson, because it's a transfer in existing establishment, they were okay with him receiving his license.
thank you for that word, Commissioner Atkinson Williams. Are there any other questions or comments?
Mr. Mayor, I have one question for staff. Deputy Marshal, this includes Sunday sales, is that correct?
Retail sales, he has Sunday sales, yes.
All right, thank you.
I do have a question, Mr. Mayor. Ms. Deputy Marshal, once he receives his occupancy, oh no, once the business sale is completed, is there a next step for them, the applicant?
They have to be sure to get the certificate of occupancy. And I have to be, well, I will know because we're in the same system. And then I'm able to issue him his license.
So the, when they sell the business transaction with him and the former owner, the
Mhm.
current owner,
Mhm.
how would you all know that that sale, because it's states that once the sale is completed, the current owner is no longer license valid,
Right,
and then their license become valid.
right.
When would you all know when that occurs?
So they have to apply, he would have to apply for his certificate of occupancy. That's when it'll change in the system for us to know that the previous owner is not there any longer. This owner is taking over. He is also doing the proper steps to get his license, which if this provisional license requires him to get the certificate of occupancy.
Okay, this is where I'm confused at.
Mhm.
All right. The purpose of us having provisional license is, and this was, I'm quoting, that was what was said to me, and not in all cases, in this particular case, before he decides, is that you get the provisional to see if you can get license, okay?
Mhm.
And before you invest your money in purchasing a business, okay? So the question is, all right, he knows if he gets approved,
Mhm.
okay, a provisional, then he decides, okay, I'm gonna go give the $5,000 to make this business transaction solidify. Or when would you all know that the actual closing has occurred?
Of that business.
When I say closing, the closing of the business transaction that I'm deeding and you have paid me my money and the closing costs.
He would call, let me know. I won't be there during that transaction. He would have to let me know.
Are they fully aware, the applicants aware when they should let you know?
I let them know that during application process. Well, like when I'm processing the application, when they turn it in, I let them know the steps of what they need to do. Not all the time do they come and let me know. Do I check the system? Yes, I do, so I can know for sure.
When you say system, what system you are referring to?
We use the software iWorks, so I will know once.
Software, give me a little
It's
more.
iWorks, called iWorks, that's all.
Okay,
That
Outworks,
we use.
which is utilized by whom? Who
The
puts-
city of Brunswick.
The city of Brunswick, and that's in Outworks where they put what into that system? How, what happens? What do you read?
I will know that he has applied for a certificate of occupancy, that the inspections have been done. I can see all of that
So,
myself.
so prior to the CO, he would have already purchased the business.
That part, I cannot see that, no, ma'am. I'm not able to see whether he purchased that business. I'm not sure. I
Is
don't
that,
have that access, right.
attorney? Is that part of the I mean, to get a CO, do you have to have complete ownership in order to apply for a CO?
I mean, yes,
Yeah.
if you're putting forth, he would go forward and get a occupational tax certificate and a CO,
Yes.
and he would apply as the owner of the business. So he wouldn't even be able to submit applications for those two items if he was not the owner of the business.
Which is done before he comes to me for the application normally. But once, I guess what I'm trying to say is once this provisional application goes through, say for instance, he's approved tonight. This is the only way I can explain it to you.
Right.
I'm able to go in a couple days in this system and see whether or not he's completed those steps for this particular application.
Okay.
So that's what yeah.
So, Mr. Patel, are you fully aware that the purchasing of the business has to occur before you get a CO? Okay, that's all I need to know. Thank you.
Hearing no other questions or comments, are we open for a motion?
I move that we retail sale of beer and wine for DD discount shop number 1 for Anchor Patel at 1001 Altama Avenue.
Hearing none is first, do I hear a second?
Second.
Here is first and a second. All those in favor show by the sign of aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the same. Hearing none, the motion passes. Thank you, Mr. Patel. We will now move on to updates from Public Works Director Albertson.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Got updates to Engineering and Public Works Department. Want to go through with you. Before I start, I had emailed a copy of a current and a proposed staffing chart, organization chart. If you don't have those, I have some copies I can pass out. That's the current one. Kind of talk through the changes between these two charts. Thank you. All right. In these charts, we have couple of new positions there. There's no net increase in new positions within the department. These are all combination of duties, combination of positions and tasks, and some reassignment of tasks within the department to provide better management and oversight for different activities. But kind of working from the top down of the updated sheet. One of the new positions that we're creating is a programs and permit manager. This is a position that will handle some state and federal grant administration, some of the grant tasks that we have for our different grant projects. It will provide oversight of several of our certifications, our community rating system, our MS4 stormwater permit, our local assisted project, our GDOT LAP training, and our program that allows us to manage GDOT projects. And several of the tasks that are currently handled by the Assistant Public Works Director as well as myself. That is a project or a position, I'm sorry, that we're kind of thinking that Karen Rogers is a current employee, kind of move her into that. We feel like she'd do a good job handling that role. And then once we do that, then a combination of duties would occur at the admin assistant. Karen is currently the admin assistant, and Nika McIver is our sanitation coordinator. By moving Karen maybe to the programs and permit manager, then combining the admin assistant and sanitation coordinator roles, and Nika taking on some of the duties of our billing and our invoicing, our accounts payable stuff. She would still handle the bulk pickups and those kind of things. She would be able to assist with some special projects and recycling activities, keep our sanitation contract managed as she currently does, but also taking on some of those additional accounts payable tasks. Then one other assignment of duties to a current position would be for our engineering tech, who's currently Ren Hale, to take on the issuing of the right-of-way permits when people or private groups apply for right-of-way permits for construction or activity in the right-of-way or whatever, and we issue that permit. Right now, that task is handled by the assistant director. We're looking at moving that activity over to the engineering tech office. All of that, several of these task reallocations would then free up the assistant director to be able to provide more day-to-day and operations management of the department, for him to be, and currently that's Rick Charnock, for him to be more hands-on, more direct in supervision of the different tasks, the mowing, the drainage maintenance, event activities, coordinations, those special projects that we mentioned, the recycling, the cemetery, the mowing and the maintenance of the cemetery, and all of the day-to-day tasks, allowing him to be more focused on those personnel activities and all kind of things. So those are sort of the changes that we're looking at in the office. And then moving down to the field level, right now we have one field superintendent and then 6 division managers. One of the changes we're looking to make is adding a second field superintendent level there to provide some additional management, some oversight, and just give us some better management at that level. We're also looking at combining a couple of our crews or a couple of our divisions. Right now, in those 6 divisions, we have one of the divisions is a Parks and Cemeteries division. The other is a Streets division. We look at combining those two because those handle a lot of similar tasks, mowing, vegetation maintenance, those kind of things. So combining those into a division called just grounds maintenance. In that, because the cemetery mowing is currently contracted out, our cemetery employees primarily handle opening and closing of graves. We would move them over under the equipment support division, where I think they'd be a little more suited because of the equipment that they use, the machinery that's used in those tasks. Yes, ma'am.
Circle back round to that last reasoning and combining of departments.
Because the streets and the parks crews do so much of the same activities. They both handle the mowing, the trimming, those kind of things, the vegetation maintenance. You know, one handles it pretty much in the right of ways. The other group handles the parks. What we're doing and what we've already started to implement, and I think we've seen good success with it, is working those crews together and trying to work more of our crews together. When we go into a right-of-way area or as we work through the city, doing the right-of-way mowing, we're using everybody together. We're trying to work the parks together, the right-of-ways together, the ditches together in that area, do our bulk pickups and our illegal pickups together in that area. So our tree trimming in that area as best as we can. So when we work through an area, it is completely done. We don't have it trimmed and we got to come back later and do the ditches, or we don't do the ditches and mowing and we got to come back later and do the trimming, or we do all that and we left some piles there. You know, we're trying to work everybody there together and work through there so that when we walk away from the area, it's done. And then we cycle back through. And we're seeing good success right now with that strategy.
Hold on 1 second, Commissioner Atkinson Williams. I just want to make sure he's completed answering Commissioner Harris's question and there are no more questions from Commissioner Harris.
Yeah, cause I see your parks and streets, but then you had parks and cemeteries. So where are these cemeteries gonna go?
The cemeteries, we have three permanent employees in cemeteries, 3 full-time employees in cemeteries. Like I said, they pretty much handle the opening and closing of graves and the maintenance at Oak Grove Cemetery. Those would move over under the equipment support division.
Okay. That we use pretty much.
That kind of answer your question?
Yeah, you got me on that one.
Okay.
No, I just wanted to kind of see him to circle back around to that last part. So, okay, go ahead.
Okay. Was there another question?
Commissioner Atkinson Williams.
No, I'm not joking. Even though we have the contractors for the cemeteries, I noticed you also have a more operator on the cemeteries.
Yes, ma'am.
That person, that third, I mean, I know those 3 individuals primarily open and closing of graves, but what else? What are some of their other duties?
They maintain Oak Grove Cemetery. Our contract only covers Palmetto and Greenwood Cemetery. Okay. So they maintain Oak Grove Cemetery. And then again, trying to use everybody on right-of-ways where we can, when those guys are available, those mower operators and light equipment operators, we have used those cemetery guys to help with the right-of-ways, putting as many forces as we can on those right-of-ways. As long as they are not opening graves and they have their maintenance duties caught up, we're using them on our right-of-ways to try to help out there as well.
Okay, you mentioned that we taking the 2 ground team, A and B, to work in an area. Give me a more specific example when you say when this is done, then we move on to the next one. Give me what area you talking about, what would be considered done before, and is it 2 days in one place and then you go the next week, or how that rotation?
It varies, depending on the amount of work to be done, the amount of right-of-way there to be mowed. Some areas have more right-of-way to work through, larger right-of-ways, more vegetated right-of-ways than commercial areas where there may be, parking or less vegetation or whatnot.
But give me an example, because this is what you have drafted out. You pretty much already know, I think you've been around about 8, 9 years, know what areas, how long does it take? Or you said you've been having a lot of success, so you pretty much know, well, I mean, I know it's winter time, it's getting things to dine out, but it takes us a week to stay on in the historic district. It takes us 2 weeks to be in Urbana Perry Park. You know, we already have, NPA's section off, the city's section off. So tell me a little more about that.
It's hard to put a definite time frame to each of those areas because, you know, especially like the MPAs or the neighborhoods are different size, but we would like to get to the point where we're cycling through the city on a 2 to 3 week basis. And the mowing that we're doing now is more involved, or the right-of-way maintenance that we're doing now is more involved than we have been doing in the past. So it is taking a little longer, and we're still kind of working through the details and trying to get our scheduling down and perfect it a little better as we go. So,
Now, and I noticed on this paper that says that what you have 10-6, the revised or the current. Then you have this yellow text indicates vacant positions, but you did say we don't have any vacant positions. Am I correct? I'm just looking at your graphic.
as of December 8th, we will be fully staffed.
Okay,
Yes,
December
ma'am.
8th. Okay, so, and you divided up one superintendent. How did you select your new superintendent?
We have not selected those yet.
Oh, so this is not fully possible. Okay. All right.
So,
This is the proposed.
yes, ma'am. This proposed staffing outline. A lot of these positions, of course, are filled. There will be room for some advancement and some promotion within there, some people to move up. And of course, right now, we don't know who those will be. We'll open it up to the guys to interview. We'd prefer to hire from within if we can. Bring our employees up as we go. But right now, we have not specifically filled the second field crew superintendent. We have not filled that position yet.
Now, with the rationale of creating, what was the rationale? Put the right-of-way permits on the engineering technician.
To take duties off of the assistant director so he can be more involved in the day-to-day management of these type tasks.
And when you have permit manager, which you mentioned that your current administrative assistant, what will she be permitting?
She will be working through some of our permits, like our GDOT permits, our access permits with the GDOT. When we have road closures, when we have construction involving GDOT, she'll be involved in those permits. She'll be involved in some of our environmental permits when we have to go get coastal marshlands permits and some of the administrative tasks that go along with obtaining those permits and fulfilling those duties. Our stormwater permit requires a good bit of reporting and those kind of duties every year. So she'll be handling those kind of things. And then coordination of our other programs like our GDOT LAP program, locally administered projects, our community rating system, those kind of programs, our ENS certifications.
So what was the rationale? I'm looking at your, to put the Splash Capital Project Manager, the Assistant Public Works Director, and Programs and Permit Manager all on a lateral.
Those maybe should not be all on the same line. This is a draft, so there is still may be some adjustment required. The intent of this was really just to show the positions. It may be that, maybe the assistant director needs to be higher or lower than one or both of those, so there may be some adjustments still required here.
Well, I guess it affects the two administrative or sanitation coordinator, with the added duties to Ms. McIver, does that involve increase in pay? And with the change of title to Mrs. Rogers, does that change pay?
There will be some pay adjustments associated here. We've not worked out all of the details there, but we feel confident that we can do this with minimal increase in our budget, in our salary budget. There will be some savings in some places, but there will be some pay adjustments. Yes, ma'am.
And going back to the grounds maintenance, I know that we have a contract. How long that contract for that, the cemetery is? How long is the term? 1 year or?
I would have to look back at, but I want to say that's probably a 3-year contract.
A 3-year
Or
contract?
maybe 1 year with 2 renewable years probably is how it was set up.
Okay. We had a conversation about that, and you were gonna talk to them about our expectations. Am I correct? So, and sounding from the public comments, that they are still not doing what they're supposed to do.
Well, that's an opinion. I would say the cemeteries look pretty good, but each his own.
Okay. But make sure that we get the bang for our buck for these 3 years. That $131,000, I don't know, I can't remember if it was per year or per the 3 years, but that's a lot of money.
It is.
Okay.
It is. And part of this restructuring and reorganization will allow for better management and better oversight of those activities, the cemetery mowing and maintenance, and allow more direct supervision. It will allow the assistant director to be more directly involved in those tasks. Plus, we add a second level there of field superintendent who can also be involved in the management of that as well.
We got a couple. No, you're okay. Got a couple questions down here, Commissioner Saby.
No, I'm pretty good, Mr. Mayor, but Mr. Robertson, I am impressed. I do think there's a lot of thought that went into this new structure. I've personally seen improvements with the increased crew. I like to call it saturation or whatever. But I've witnessed, I mean, I was on Norwich Street a day ago and they were weeding the sidewalks, which I haven't seen done in a long time. So it's great to see that progress. And I look forward to meeting the superintendents and I'm sure they look forward to those positions, and just appreciate all the hard work of Public Works. So I know this isn't final, but I think this is a great start and look forward to continuing to see the rewards of this concentrated effort. So thank you.
Commissioner Harris.
I just had 2 last things. Immediate supervision, and that's dealing with the Assistant Public Works Director. And when you go back and look at those laterals and how you have that, who's going to be reporting to who and how that actually looks. But you said something about fully staffed. What is fully staffed? What's your numbers? for fully staffed?
I want to say it's 52 field employees, but I'd have to count them there. But
Okay, and I asked that director because as we are on this DIOS and we are asking of you certain things, and I agree with Commissioner Saby. This is a very good start. This is what I've been looking for a while now, and how we would move in it and how it looks for us to move forward in it. And so I asked about the fully staffed, because as we increase our expectations of the cleanliness of the city and how that looks and how we move forward with that, then we want to make sure that we are relaying the adequate financial expectations that it will take to accomplish what we're asking of you, and what it would take for your department to accomplish. If that's overtime, if that's increasing but how does that look? We don't know that unless you all bring that information to us, and then we talk with
and
the
that's
city
part of what we
manager
have
about it.
here. I mean, I'm not finished.
Okay, I just want to, I'm just making sure that as we expect these things, that we're not only relaying to you our expectations of what we want you to do, but that you're also bringing in, okay, I'm increasing staff. We're fully staffed. If we're gonna accomplish the cleanliness of the city throughout the entirety, then it's gonna take, you all, not us, but us knowing in your budget that you need this amount of monies for overtime, and how does that look?
Sure.
So that we can make sure that we as the DIOS are doing what we need to do so that you can accomplish what we expect you to accomplish.
Right, and part of that is, you're right, overtime, and you mentioned the full-time employees. Since I've been at Public Works, we've never had a full staff. We've always had some vacant positions, which we filled with temporary labor. Now that those positions are going to be filled as of the middle of this month, we'll be phasing out our temporary labor. So there'll be some savings there in what we're paying the agency. But also we've got a lot of overtime costs. We do, and that comes from several things. You know, we've got the restrooms that we clean. We've got events that we take care of. First Friday Porch Fest, different events that pop up over the weekends that require maybe barricades to be delivered, or traffic control, or clean up downtown after that. So what we're looking at, and we don't have it nailed down completely, but we're thinking that we can take a lot of those costs, or overtime and the temporary labor costs, and hire some additional staff members, and maybe work them on called a staggered schedule, where they come in, maybe their work week is Wednesday through Sunday, or something to that effect, where so that they can handle those weekend events and those kind of things, bathrooms cleaning on the weekend, and events, without going into overtime, and handling their salary and their hourly rate be handled through what we're now paying in overtime. We're not still working through those numbers and trying to work out how that schedule might work, but that is part of what we're doing there, is trying to make that work so that we can reduce our cost and still get the things done as efficiently. And we'll bring that back to you once we get everything nailed down and are ready to know, okay, how many positions are we going to be able to create there, and how that's exactly going to work financially.
Okay, I just want to make sure, because what I'm seeing, and the consensus from the DIOS, and what I've been able to discuss with everyone, is we're loving what we're seeing. We're seeing traction. We're seeing progress being made, and so I don't want to see that minimized.
Sure.
So
And-
if that means that they've got to do overtime so that they can get done what we've requested be done, what we've been asking for to be done, I don't want any hindrance. If it's temporary staffing that's helping to accomplish this, I think, and I've spoken with some citizens, and they're seeing some things happening in not just the outer right of ways, but the intra-city areas, and the cleaning of those intra-city areas. And I'm getting some good reports back. And even in this model that you presented to us, and being fully staffed, I want to make sure, and I want to know that there's an understanding that we're going to continue to expect this level of performance, and that we don't want to be a hindrance, but however we can help to keep this traction going, we want to keep it going. We don't want to see it stop.
Okay. And we're yes, ma'am, that is the intent, to keep it going. And, you know, you mentioned some improvement, and I agree, there's been improvement, and sort of Davin Baker's sort of leading that effort right now, and the coordination of that mowing. And he and I have had several conversations on how that's going to continue. You know, maybe part of our success right now, maybe it's because we're going into the dormant season. So how are we going to maintain this as we go into the growing season? So likely come budget time, there are going to be some requests for personnel and equipment and that kind of thing. So, so yeah, we're still evaluating that too, but, trying to, again, reduce our overtime and try to do more within the same expense level.
Mhm.
And then we'll kind of evaluate where we are as we go into the spring and the summer and try to,
I know your
like I say, keep things moving.
your temporary guys are doing an excellent job. They are, those guys are cleaning where I hadn't seen clean before.
And a couple of these, the two that are coming on full-time on the 8th are coming from the temporary side. They worked for us for quite a while as temps, and we're able to move them over to full-time employees. So we're
This is
We-
an
glad when we
excellent
can do
shift in
that.
time.
I
This is
want
an
to-
excellent shift in time.
Oh, no. I want to, so we stay inside of some time restraints. I want to allow Commission or Mayor Pro Tem Roll to ask her question and then provide 5 additional minutes for you to finish your presentation.
Sure.
So I'll just be brief, speaking from my seat. So the kudos that Commissioner Saby and Commissioner Harris, just FYI, that's on their side of town, because I'm not impressed on the northern side of town, because it's still a lot that can be done. When I ride around or when I see things, I notice the Public Works employees are in the same locations, which are on the southern part of the city. And I've just been seeing it and saying it for all the 4 years that I've been on here. And it's just, I know everyone's clean is not clean, but I just guess I expect maybe too much, but it's so much things that can be done when it comes to cleanliness. I would love for Cleburne or Stonewall or Altama to look like Union, if that makes sense. Like it just doesn't match. Like the city, you go from one side and then the other, and it's just like, oh, I'm in a different place. So I'm not satisfied. I don't know when you keep going northern if it's different with Commissioner Atkinson Williams' part. And then my other thing that I had, it might be something for city manager in regards to, I know you made a chart of positions. So as the director, in my opinion, I get that you have to do all the charting and everything for positions, but not only are you the director, you're also an engineer. So I would like to see more of the concerns that we have about trash pickup or whatever go to the assistant public works director, because once again, you're an engineer. And
that's-
I mean, and I just, because sometimes I'll be honest, I do feel kind of bad at times because I call you, although I know you're the director, but I'm like, he's an engineer, like he's dealing with like infrastructure stuff, and I'm calling him about.
And that's exactly the intent
know-
of a lot of this, to take some of the things that he's doing now, put them on other people's plates so that he
Right.
can focus more on, that's exactly where we're headed here.
Okay, so that's what I had to say. That's pretty much it. Everyone else pretty much said everything else that I was gonna say. But like I said, downtown and southern part looks great. But when you start moving north, it doesn't look so good. So that's just being honest. And I've done a ride along with the assistant city manager. I've pointed out things that shouldn't be as such, and they still remain. So. I just had to say that. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Director Albertson, continue.
Just to kind of wrap it up, point out that, with some of these reorganization and the positions that we're creating and some reallocation of the tasks, we want to continue to provide, there will be a room for advancement, like we discussed, for some guys, and girls to move up. We want to continue to provide training and opportunities for that advancement through the APWA and the Certified Public Works Manager Program, which we have a couple have completed. There's a couple currently enrolled, and we'll get others moving through that training process. We'll continue to provide operator training. We recently partnered with the Board of Education to provide CDL training. We were successful in getting a CDL operator out of that, and hopefully, and they prefer to do it in the summer, obviously, when they're not busy, but hopefully next summer we can push a couple more through that kind of training. So we want to kind of continue to do that those kind of training and advancement opportunities, as we work through this. And just like we said, there will be some salary adjustments here, but we think those are minimal adjustments and can be, work those within our current budget. Probably will be some increases come budget requests come budget time, in the spring and summer. So, just we're going to try to keep it moving and keep producing the results and better results and keep it going.
Well, Director Albertson, I want to say thank you for making our workforce stronger, workforce development. And I want to say thank you for listening to me and taking some heed to the comments I made. I look for really, even though, because I always said you get beat up all the time by us. I mean, I hate, but through it all, iron sharpens iron, and I'm looking forward to a lot of progress, the positive that will come out through this.
Director Albertson, thank you for that update.
Okay.
We'll now move on to items to consider for approval. Approval of the November 5th, 2025 regular scheduled meeting minutes. If there are no addendums or subtraction, we will open it up for a motion to approve those minutes.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that we approve the November 5th, 2025 regular scheduled meeting minutes.
Hearing the first, do I hear a second?
Second.
Hearing the first and the second, all those in favor show by sign of aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the same. Hearing none, the motion passes and the meeting minutes are approved. With that, we'll move on to number 8, consider approval of 2026 health insurance. City Manager McDuffie.
Good evening.
Good evening.
As you know, we annually have to renew our health insurance benefits. We look very closely throughout the year in terms of the benefits that we provide to our employees. And the health insurance is certainly the largest expense that we undertake. The city is self-insured, which means that we basically pay for claims that are, claims that come against the city for the health and medical for all of our employees. We also, to ensure that those costs are contained, we have to have reinsurance policies that reimburse the city for specific claims, and we cap those at $80,000 for any covered individual under our plan. This year, we were fortunate that our health insurance estimate decreased because we have had some very heavy claims in the last couple of years, which caused an increase last year, and we were not sure how those would impact this year, but we're pleased that our cost estimate is an 8.7% decrease from the previous cost estimates. We will have the same, or we're recommending the same provider for our reinsurance, which is Prodigy. We looked at 17 different stop-loss providers before we decided to renew through Prodigy, and they provided the best estimate for our claims. There was a net decrease in our specific premiums and our aggregate factors, which led to the decrease of 8.5%. Our total cost estimate is estimated at $3.1 million. That's a reduction of $293,000. Last year's was $3.3 million. So we are recommending for the renewal of the Prodigy, along with our Cigna network provider for our PPO. And we also, all of our ancillary benefits will be through the Omaha, Mutual of Omaha, as they were last year. We don't anticipate any increases with the exception of our dental plan, which is again an ancillary plan those costs are borne by the employees, so those aren't a direct increase for the city. But we are providing the same level of service and benefits to the city for dental, vision, life, and short-term and long-term disability. In addition to the health insurance renewal, we are proposing that we include a opportunity for an eligible class of retirees, possibly to receive health insurance through a separation agreement with the city. Once they leave employment, we would possibly offer health insurance support. And those are people who have reached a certain eligibility, which is outlined as 40 years of service, and persons that would not be eligible for Medicare benefits. We are proposing to have that class of people in our provision of benefits, but it's not something that's automatic. It would be something that we would provide in certain circumstances. With that, I would ask if there are any questions. I think one of our representatives, Al Ertel, is online. If you have any specific questions that he may be able to answer.
Thank you for that. Questions or comments from the commission? I know you presented this in finance, so I appreciate all the work that's been done. If there are no questions or comments, we will open it for a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that we approve the health insurance renewal and added class as recommended by City Manager McGuff.
Second.
Hearing a first and a second, all those in favor show by sign of aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the same. Hearing none, the motion passes. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And I'd just like to say that our open enrollment period starts tomorrow and runs through December 14th, and it is mandatory that everyone in our plan go in and review their benefits and confirm for the next year. Our benefits or program will start January 1st. Thank you.
Thank you. With that, we'll move on to consider approval of 50 alcohol license renewals and 1 add-on / renewal alcohol license. Deputy Brown.
Hi again. So yes.
Before we get started, can you go ahead and delineate the difference between the 50 that we are taking and the 1 add-on / renewal and the difference between those two?
So the add-on, I can start with that one, will be Indigo Shanty. Here he is adding on catering, Sunday sales, and liquor. Right now, he's currently on-premise consumption for beer and wine. He anticipates more business. He is here tonight to speak with you all. If you'd like to speak to him.
No, it's okay right
Okay.
now. I'm just trying to figure out, are we taking that one differently or is that in concert with the rest?
Well, it's considered technically adding a new license. So
Okay,
yes.
so it'll be done separately.
Yes, sorry.
Okay, not a problem. With that being said, and then, yeah, let's go ahead and do that one first.
Do him first?
Yes,
Okay.
please.
So, yes, Judah is here. Mr. Judah Lynch, he is the owner of Indigo Shanty. He, again, wants to add on catering for serving off-premise, liquor, distilled spirits, and Sunday sales, because he anticipates business.
Yep. Mr. Lynch, we're well aware of you all's business and your place in our community. So thank you for being a business owner here in the city of Brunswick. We are also aware of the catering movement that a lot of people are doing to be able to do that. So we kind of understand that license. If you just want to tell us a little bit about what you plan on doing and we can move from there.
Okay. I appreciate it. Thank y'all. We don't have a lot of specific plans right now, but since I was renewing the license, I wanted to go ahead and be prepared for, expansion and being able to do some of those things. We would like to do a little more catering. And then also for things like, Porch Fest and things like that to be able to serve alcohol. And then for the alcohol, being able to serve a range of cocktails as opposed to just beer and wine for dinner service. I think it hurts us a little bit because most places now have all of them. And so I would like to be able to offer all of that within the restaurant.
Wonderful. Thank you for that breakdown. Questions or comments from the commission?
I have, so when you say that you're being proactive in your movement, so is there a change in your hours of operations, or what else is?
Well, we would like to, we haven't worked it all out yet. I would like to be open more hours. I don't think, as of right now, we're not planning on opening on Sundays all the time. But I want to be able to do that once we're staffed and could kind of work things out. And then Saturday lunches were closed currently, and Monday nights. So I would like to get them a full schedule so that it's a little bit more of like normal hours and full service, as opposed, I think some people I've had comments from people about like, well, we're not sure when you're open and stuff like that. And so I think that having a more consistent schedule would help us out. But we actually don't have any plans for opening on Sundays yet, but I want to be able to do that in the future if it allows. I don't really want to open on Sundays, but if it seems like it ends up being kind of necessary for the business, then I would like to have it as an option to do.
Okay. And I guess I was asking about your hours of operation. If you're trying to capture more of the nightlife, is why you're wanting to move to the liquor side of things, or
yeah, like to do late night or something.
What's your
like that.
reasoning?
Yeah, we don't have any plans to open late night. It's more like for dinner service, just to be able to offer a full range of drinks during our current hours that we're operating at. I'm not saying we wouldn't do it if, it seemed like there was a need for it, or we kind of experimented with it, and probably not late night, but open for maybe till 10 or 11 or something like that.
What's your current hours?
Right now we close at 9:30, so we're open from 11 a.m. until 9:30 p.m. So,
Commissioner Atkinson Williams, did you have a question?
Deputy Marshal, didn't you say the add-on is for catering?
It will be for off-premise, so catering.
Okay.
And for adding liquor, and he's also adding Sunday sales. So those are the 3 licenses that he's adding on.
So he's trying.
Yes,
3.
yes, ma'am.
Okay, that's what I was looking for. Okay, no problem. And basically, to Commissioner Harris, and she asked you the question, and you said being proactive to see where you want to expand, since this is a perfect timing for you right now, since you're going through renewal, to ask the request.
That's right. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, that's why I wanted to get understanding of.
Yeah, in case we decided, I didn't want to have to wait another year if we decided to do it. I was kind of thinking about it last year and then waited, and so I would just like to be prepared if we did.
Any additional questions or comments? Hearing none, we will open it for a motion.
Mr. Mayor, make a motion that we approve the add-on catering, Sunday sales, and beer and wine and liquor for Indigo Coastal Shanty at 1402 Reynolds Street.
Hearing the first, do I hear a second? Hearing the first and a second, all those in favor show by the usual sign of aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the same. Hearing none, the motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
With that, we will move on to the consider approval of the 50 alcohol license renewals.
The 50 that I have do not have any violations this year. Everyone meets the requirements that I've had come in to renew. So yes, those are the 50 that I have.
Wonderful. I want to make space for any points of privilege overarching about kind of the 50 alcohol licenses that any commissioners want to make. I don't think anyone up here hasn't received communication on both ends as it pertains to alcohol licenses in our community. I think the commission has taken action on a lot of things to ensure that we are lessening and being thoughtful about saturation. However, it doesn't mean that we get it right all the time. And so Because of that, I want to make sure that we open it up for any points of privilege that anyone on the commission may have to overarchingly talk about anything dealing in this space.
My only thing quickly was when you mentioned no violations, can you just openly say what you mean when you say no violations, just so the public can know?
There have not been any cited violations, meaning there have not been any citations given by the police department that were reported to me.
Can you tell us, so the public also could know, be aware of, what are some cited violations to any of these facilities, or?
Meaning, you mean have?
Well, that
this
can
be.
be cited by Brunswick Police Department,
Yes.
by code enforcement,
They
whoever
could
does
be
the citing.
cited. An example could be loitering. And yes, they could be cited by the Brunswick Police Department at that point.
So when you say loitering, that means if.
So a location that is for retail sales, they're supposed to go in, buy, and leave, go home, not
Okay.
hang around in the parking lot or anything like
So a
that.
business can be cited for that if people are loitering?
I think it really would depend on the situation at that time. So I've known of the citizens themselves in the parking lot being asked to move and be cited. At that point, the owner of the establishment has to make a move and do what's right for their establishment. So in other words, if they want their business to stay in business and succeed, then they need to make sure that we don't want these people or these citizens in my parking lot after they buy their alcohol. So they have a right to trespass them or put up their no trespassing signs. Majority of them have those around their buildings. Does it still go on? Yes.
Okay. So for the most part, and again, you've been here a lot longer than me, but the relationship with Brunswick, with these business owners, the relationship with Brunswick Police Department, is it a double-edged sword? Does it come back on the owners? If they start calling the police, I'm having trouble, can you come assist? Or does it look like they are, and it comes at the end of the year where we had this many calls from the store asking for assistance to remove these people from our premise? Do we look at it that business is not, become a nuisance, and they have been denied alcohol? I'm just curious. Is it a double-edged sword? If I'm a business owner and I have this perception of my city's police department, that if I call you all and then y'all make a note that I call, you move these people out my parking lot, okay? And then at the end of the year, these nuisance, me call, am I going to be penalized or looked upon that my business need to be on probation, suspended? So therefore, I say, I'm not going to call.
Well,
If you can't
that would
answer,
be
don't answer,
something-
but that's just
Yeah, I wouldn't want to
I think,
really answer
I
that.
think the one thing is that would, I think, be majority individual to the business owner, but I do get the point that you're highlighting there. Yes, ma'am.
Right. The point is, I don't want to look like my business in trouble with these nuisance. And then you have these records. I'm calling as the business owner, and you're going to retaliate against me. That's all. It's going to be used against me. That's all.
Yeah,
how can we separate that?
Well, I mean, I would typically seek out my supervisor at first, technically, and then we would have a meeting with the city attorney sometimes, or the city manager, if not both, to see what are our next steps legally. Other than that,
Because we want people, business owners to feel open and feel like for them to clean up our expectations of the loitering, the cleanliness, the whatever that looks like a nuisance, how we define nuisance, okay? That, and they're making efforts as well to ensure that they're making efforts to give us a pleasing site to do what we ask, or to have a business that looks very presentable in our neighborhoods, in our communities. We want to make sure that they are aware that they won't be, just because you call us, it's not going to stack against you.
well, no,
And then
I
it's an
typically
open,
look for
collaborative
citations.
relationship. It's a positive relationship, not a negative relationship.
Right.
That's all.
And I typically look for definitely violations, or citations, I'm sorry. Then if I don't have any citations, that's when I go and I talk to my supervisors or city manager or city attorney to see what we need, what are our next steps, what do we need to do, what we can do or what we cannot do. Because I don't want to bring them in and say, oh, well, I have this list of violations and just say, hey, we need to put them on probation because we have this over here. But technically, I don't have any citations to go off on to say that the police has went out and did X, Y, and Z, if that makes sense.
Can I interject something? We don't want there to be the misconception either that it is the responsibility of BPD to be your security. That we don't want that misconception. There
Of the
is
business owner.
there is a responsibility that lies with that business owner. I want to make sure that that is clearly understood and we establish that
Yes.
tonight. If it hadn't been established before,
It has been.
we need to make sure that that's established, because that's that responsibility of that business owner. Not to just be mindful of the business, but to be mindful of that entire community in which that business sits.
I got you.
Thank you for that. Anything else? Hearing nothing, we will open it up for.
Mr. Mayor, I just have one really brief question, sorry, on one specific license. Number 10, King and Prince Seafood, says retail beer, wine, and liquor. So is that the manufacturing plant, or is that the storefront?
No,
On Capitol Street, and how is that distributed? Like, I
So
wasn't aware.
they don't sell it to the public. They cook with it. They
Yep.
do their products with it. So you can't go in there and buy it. You can't go in there and consume it. You have to buy their products out of their stores that they sell it to.
Beer batter shrimp.
That's right.
That's it.
Beer
Okay,
batter,
got it.
liquor
All right,
batter.
but we don't have another distinction or another license that kind of fits their category.
That's right.
Great.
That is
thank you.
correct.
I'm ready to make a motion.
Perfect. If that, we'll open it up for a motion. We are open for a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that we approve the 50 alcohol license renewals as presented by staff.
Hearing the first, do I hear a second?
Second.
Hearing the first and a second, all those in favor show by the sign of aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the same. Hearing none, the motion passes.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Deputy. We will now move on to number 10, consider approval of Brunswick Transit Title VI Plan.
Thank you, Mayor and Commission. As y'all know, as we now operate a transit program, there are different policies and procedures that we're required to keep updated or adopt in order to receive Federal Transit Administration funding. A number of those we're able to work into our existing policies, like their procurement requirements and things like that. But one that is specific that requires City Commission action is our Title VI program. we worked with our transit consultant, WRA, and staff from GDOT to establish these policies. GDOT provides a template that meets FTA requirements. We then customize that based on the type system that we're providing. And also some of the things that we are required to provide based on the number of different languages that are spoken within our community by percentages, which leads to different things being translated different ways. But ultimately, what this comes down to is the Title VI is our anti-discrimination policies as it comes to the expectations of the riders and how we provide service to them so that we make sure that we're doing things like accommodating service animals, that we are providing access for wheelchair-bound members of our community so that they're able to get to where they need to go. And then within that are the reporting processes if they have a complaint. All this information is posted on the city website on our transit planning and has gone through review and approval, initial approval by GDOT. So it meets all of their requirements for us. And what we're asking tonight is for y'all's approval of that so that we can send it back to GDOT for their final approval.
Wonderful. And thank you for all the work on this. Is there any questions or comments dealing with the Transit Title VI plan? Hearing none, we'll open it for a motion.
Mr. Mayor, make a motion that we approve the Brunswick Transit Title VI plan as presented.
Hearing the first, do I hear a second?
Second.
Hearing the first and a second, all those in favor show by sign of aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the same. Hearing none, the motion passes. Thank you, Director Hunter.
Thank you.
We'll now move on to consider approval of a hurricane disaster relief effort grant in the amount of $815,405 from One Georgia Authority. Director Albertson.
Yes, this this is a grant to from the One Georgia Authority to provide some bank stabilization improvements at two locations at Palmetto Cemetery and along Greenwood Cemetery. The Palmetto Cemetery location, if you're familiar with that cemetery, there's a ditch that runs alongside 341 and then turns and runs sort of through the cemetery on the south end of the cemetery, crosses Ross Road, just right there, just north of where the old cemetery office used to be. The problem we've had there during the last couple of storms, high tide, but also debris has blocked that outfall, causing the water level to rise and some pretty severe erosion in those stream banks right there into the shoulder of Ross Road. And same thing at Palmetto or Greenwood Cemetery. That T Street ditch comes under 341 and runs along the north side of T Street between the street and the cemetery. That's more of a title issue, but it's encroaching into those banks into T Street as well as into the cemetery. So we went and designed those improvements about a year ago through the a coastal incentive grant, through our West Brunswick Coastal Incentive Grant. We designed and permitted both improvements. So they're shovel ready. And then went out and applied for this One Georgia grant. Roxanne George put a lot of this grant application together. We asked for and received $815,405 from the One Georgia Authority. Our contribution to that would be $151,150, which would come from our local SPLOST funds for a total project budget of $966,555. So again, these projects are designed, permitted, and ready to build. So if approved tonight, we would go ahead and execute all of the grant documents here in the next couple of weeks, and then hopefully right after the first of the year, be ready to get this out to bid and get moving just in time for the get these installed in time for the spring planting. There's a lot of vegetation that goes on these. These are more of a natural shoreline design than just a stone riprap design that you see. So there's a lot of planting and vegetation that goes along with it. So we're right in the window of the planting season. So I'm ready to move forward with it, if it's approved tonight. So
Wonderful. I want to thank you to Ms. Roxanne George and staff for continuing, city manager for continuing to ensure that we're bringing home dollars to do things in our community that come from both state and federal. So thank you for that work and ensuring that we can better our city with $815,000 of money that don't come out of our coffers. So I appreciate that. Questions or comments from the commission? Hearing none, we'll open it for a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I recommend approval of the proposed hurricane disaster relief effort grant in the amount of $815,405 from One Georgia Authority.
Hearing the first, do I hear a second?
Second.
Hearing the first and a second, all those in favor show by a sign of aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the same. Hearing none, the motion passes. Thank you, Director. With that, we will move on to city attorney items. We have handled item number 12 and handled that out of executive session.
Which one's that?
Consider approval of an excess.
No, that's a
No.
separate item entirely.
Separate item. Okay, I'm sorry. So with that, we'll move to number 12, consider approval of an excess tax sale proceeds request to pay claimant Laura Lovett Griner as executrix of the estate of Althea Cruz, parcel number 01-02771- or that's the end, for 703 J Street.
That's correct. From time to time, after a city tax sale where tax deeds are issued, the city retains excess proceed funds. We have a process where if there is a single claimant that is clearly defined and an affidavit and opinion of title is provided by an attorney, the city has in the past, after going through Finance Committee with a recommendation from the Finance Committee, rendered payment of those excess proceed funds to the record owner or the rightful claimant. In this particular claim, Althea Cruz would have been the record owner at the time of the tax sale. She passed away shortly thereafter. Laura Lovett Griner is the executrix of the estate of Althea Cruz. The attorney Ligon firm has been representing Miss Griner as the executrix of that estate. They have submitted a letter, title opinion letter, showing that Althea Cruz, the estate of Althea Cruz, would be the rightful claimant of these excess proceed funds, and that there are letters testamentary issued by the probate court of Glenn County naming Miss Griner or Laura Lovett Griner as the executrix. So based on that information, and I know I provided this to the Finance Committee. I'm sorry, I saw that it was not loaded onto the city's agenda on the city's website, but this memo and the supporting documentation, including the affidavit and the letter of the opinion from Wesley Delaney, she's an attorney with the Ligon firm, is all attached here too. We've reviewed it. It was recommended for approval by the Finance Committee. And for the amount is $2,430.09, and that would be made payable to Laura Lovett Griner as the executrix of the estate of Althea Cruz.
Perfect. I know that was clean up from Commissioner Harris, making sure we got that right.
Make sure it was right on the agenda.
With that, any questions or comments for the city attorney? Hearing none, we'll open it for a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that we approve the request for excess tax proceeds to be paid to the claimant Laura Lovett Griner as executrix of the estate of Althea Cruz.
Hearing a first, do I hear a second?
Yeah.
Hearing a first and a second, all those in favor show by sign of aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the same. Hearing none, the motion passes. We will now move on to discussion items on amendments. What I would ask is as we go through this, we've all kind of had a little breakdown, but this is hearing only. So any questions that you may have, if they are not directly pertinent to changing the overall meaning of the kind of amendments that we are seeing before us today, I'd ask you to hold those questions, put them in writing, and present them to the city attorney's office for further conversation.
Yes.
With that, we will move to number 13, consider for discussion an amendment to the nuisance abatement procedure to provide for additional lien procedures.
That's correct, Mayor. This is an amendment that is arising out of the repeated actions of code enforcement to sort of track down and pursue nuisance properties in the city that do not require a full in-rim judicial demolition process. And I think I've talked about that to the commission on multiple occasions. That process can be overly burdensome. I think I hope I saw John is stuck around. It requires title search. It requires us naming all parties, orders of publication. There's just an extended period, and those take a long time to get through the process. What we have been talking about internally, municipal court and code enforcement, is the items where it's just a vacant lot, or there is trash on a vacant lot, or there are items that are easily or could easily be abated by whether it's the city public works or otherwise, without the need to go through this entire process and bring it all the way through. We could go cut the grass, but we'd be doing it for free. And so as we we saw that Richmond Hill has instituted a mechanism by which, if you have been properly cited with a code enforcement violation, which would come before, you'd get your notice of violation letter first, then there'd be a citation. And within 30 days of that citation, it's typically brought before a municipal court judge and adjudicated, whether guilty or not guilty. If at that time period there is either a no-show, which we have quite often, even though they've been served properly, or there's a person showing up and just saying, I can't do it, and the judge adjudicates that person guilty or finds that there is a violation of the code enforcement, we needed a mechanism that will go abate it, make it look nice, clear the trash, clear the junk, cut the grass, remove the weeds, whatever it might be. But this will allow us to do a lien in that scenario. So the lesser of the code enforcement violations. We're not talking about demolition of a building. We're just talking about going on, cutting the grass, and making sure that we're not stuck with the bill at the end of the day. This would allow us to assess the costs as a lien against the property itself, and then hopefully seek out the collection of that through either a tax sale, or as people go to either try to transfer their properties, those liens will be sitting there. It seems to be something that is working in Richmond Hill. So that this ordinance is drafted after that, or modeled after that.
Thank you for that. Again, any additional questions or comments that will change anything directly dealing with it? If not, we'll get some questions to your office. With that, we'll move to number 14. Consider for discussion an amendment to the mixed use city core historic or much zoning ordinance to provide for waiver procedures.
And again, this one's for discussion only as well, just as a reminder, but and I should ask actually, Mayor, if there are no comments, or if you guys are going to bring comments, I would ask if on the first one, the lien procedures, if there are no significant comments right now, that the city clerk's office be directed to advertise that one so that it can be approved at the next commission meeting.
You do have that direction.
All right, thank you very much. Moving to the next one related to the height waiver. This is something obviously that John assisted in this tremendously. I'd say he did about 99% of the work on it. I did help just put it into the formatting, reviewed it with him, and looked it over. This is in direct relation to what the waiver that we saw and some of the outcry that came with it. It does establish a process, procedure, and application that would allow for public notice to go out to adjacent landowners. It allows for a public hearing at the Planning and Appeals Commission, and it sets some parameters as to what sort of things you're going to look at, what types of evaluations, criteria you would evaluate, as a waiver application is submitted. that's kind of, I think it's just putting that procedure in place that we heard a lot about, that lots of people wanted to see done. Because the waiver right now in much is just sort of there in existence as a one-liner. So
I know this was somewhat of a hot button issue, so if there are any comments or questions for this particular item, because it is in a drafting phase, anything that you feel like would be missing or needs to change before it is brought back before us, please let us know now. So we'll open it up for questions and comments.
I have a question. Now, you said the first one, it was just a single line. I just want to make sure, because we didn't get the blue line copy.
I see what you're saying. Yes. So essentially, these are all new sections. The new sections are added in. If you looked, and I apologize for that, at the secondary, section 2 of the ordinance addresses, if you look at what would be page, apologies, 4, I believe. I'm sorry, 4. If you looked at page 4 at the very bottom, number 7, waiver requests. So it was similar to that the waiver was just placed in the ordinance that an applicant seeking to rezone their property as much would be able to submit for a waiver to be approved by the city commission for the height variance.
Okay.
So the entirety of section 1 is sort of a new addition to the ordinance, the much ordinance that would provide the full application process and procedure.
And so 23, because your second, now this, it says 2310-6. That section is brand new.
Correct.
But then you go to, and that might be just typo, 23-10-5. How can 6 come before 5?
5 is already in existence.
So we need to renumber. I'm just in section 2.
Correct. Section 2 is only a slight amendment to the existing section 23-10-5.
Right. But under section 2, you have 23-10-5.
Correct.
Under section 1, you have section 23-10-6.
Yeah, I think that, so the section numbers in the ordinance amendment just generally identify what is being done. It's not necessarily an enumerated or in order of where it appears in the code of ordinances. And as a matter of fact, if you looked at in some of the other sections, some of the other ordinance amendments, section 1 might identify an ordinance amendment to this particular part of the chapter. Section 2, because there's going to be cross references, would just identify if there's changes being made elsewhere in the chapter. So the sections are only used to show, they're not in order of any particular order.
So sections 2 through 5 are basically the same. I mean, I'm just section 2, 3, 4, and 5.
The section 1, section 2, section 3, section 4, those are not included in the ordinance. Those would just be the amendment sections. So as we present, if you look, sections 3, 4, and 5 are almost always the same in an ordinance amendment in general. So the form template of an ordinance amendment will always include certain sections. So section 3 will almost always say all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict with this ordinance are hereby repealed, so on and so forth.
And what's updated in this section 2 then?
Bottom of page 4, number 7, waiver requests for limited waivers or modifications.
7.
Yes, ma'am.
And then all of section 1.
Is a new addition.
New addition.
Correct.
All right.
And I would say just making sure if there are any questions, if it's not necessarily pertinent to changing the overall context of the waiver or of the amendment, I think we can just send that in either email or set that time. I'm kind of trying to make sure if there's anything
No, it was
layering that kind of throws off the actual meaning of what we're trying to kind of knock out.
Yeah, the only one question and clarification, and we talked about this, Brandon, I just want to make sure that you research and we're good, is that the waiver that we're referring to in this district is only a waiver for height. It's not a general use waiver for maybe other cases, for lack of a better word. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
Well, that is something that Commissioner Sabia brought up after it was put on the agenda. When he and I went through the agenda yesterday.
Yeah.
He brought that up, and it'll be something that we'll address before we bring it forward. And I might have to lean on John to make sure that, I can't recall if this item has been through planning and appeals. Okay. Right. So I'm not sure this one's ripe for advertisement yet. I'd like to see what planning and appeals comes back with, and then I'll make the changes with Commissioner Sabia. So it's more likely that we bring it back for a second discussion on December 17th.
And if there is any discussion points between now and then, we would ask that up here, we submit those either in writing or a direct meeting with the city attorney's office so they can make those changes before it is brought before full commission. So no action on 14, am I correct?
That's correct.
All right. We will move on to number 15. Consider for discussion of amendment to the alcohol ordinance to amend the provisional license issuance procedures. I'm sorry.
That's correct. And this is another one that's sort of been in, I won't say in the news necessarily, but it's been a concern of some of the city commissioners as it relates to provisional licenses that we issue. And what I tried to do is go through based on guidance and reviewing other areas and how they address provisional or temporary licenses, and just be very clear in the circumstances in which a provisional license would be appropriate, which is most likely the sale of a business and or the new construction or rehabilitation of a building. Someone is looking to either purchase a business or rehab or spend a lot of money to build a building, and they just want to know whether or not the location would actually be able to receive a license. So there are current ordinances on the books related to this, but I think what the point of the amendment is to significantly clarify how that provisional license moves through our process, what rights you're granted when you get a provisional license, the time frame, and if you need an additional time, a one-time waiver to get a 90-day original and then an additional 90 days, and then how it moves after the issuance of the provisional as it relates to seeking out a certificate of occupancy, and ultimately completing all of the necessary steps you'd need to have it transferred into a permanent license.
Wonderful. I think we have a quick question on the preface to that section.
Oh, Attorney,
Yes.
Yep.
okay. Up very top, on the top, the title part, the bold print, it says, to provide a procedure to process waiver applications in.
Oh, I'm sorry. Which ordinance are we on?
She was confused because her ordinance page is not what's in this is something talking about short-term rental.
It says, it's the waiver, but then it says.
Oh, I see.
Does that relate, or I'm missing something?
No.
Okay, that's supposed to be eliminated, okay. But you see what I'm talking about?
Yep.
Okay. I would just,
That was just a holdover, I think.
okay, all right. That was fine, I was thinking.
Thank you for that, Commissioner.
But we could go to the alcohol provisional. Because I asked you one earlier.
Right.
You asked me.
There have been comments. I've received comments from Commissioner Atkinson Williams on the provisional alcohol license. So there is a comment to clarify.
Yeah.
That's correct. Under 33-22 D, just to add some component that once the closing of the business is complete, that they'll submit the appropriate notice or documentation to the city marshal's office, notifying them that they have closed on the business. This one, I do believe, if there are no additional comments, would be able to be advertised. Once I make some clarity for Commissioner Atkinson Williams, I do think that this one would be ready to be advertised if that's the will of the commission.
So what I'd say is to have it advertised, but before we move to the advertisement, just make sure all edits that are before us have been made, and then we will give that directive to Devani or Mr. Williams. With that, we will move on to number 16, consider for discussion an amendment to the parking ordinance to provide for new fines and enforcement procedures.
Yes, this is something, again, that's actually arisen a little bit out of municipal court, but also I've been working with Assistant City Manager and the downtown, the Brunswick Police Department officers that are assigned. It is primarily related to downtown issues. However, I want to make clear that it would be a parking ordinance for the entire city. It would extend to the entire city. But for the purposes of why it's sort of necessary at the moment is that we are having issues with parking downtown. The prior ordinance was somewhat antiquated in how these citations were being issued. We looked to the city of Marietta and the city of Decatur as to how they are implementing parking programs. Both have downtown squares. Both are currently using not only their police department to regulate parking, but they also are using third-party vendors that are sort of meter-made type situations. I'm not so certain we're there yet, but the ordinance that we're looking to pass will clarify some issues and will allow just the basic, it's hard to explain the differences, and I don't want to get into it because it take forever, but basic parking citations that can be slid under a windshield wiper and then will be taken through the same course of a municipal court. You have due process, you have the ability to go to a hearing and fight your ticket if you wish. It sets new fines, and we will be establishing, I think Jeremiah and I and the municipal court clerk have just finalized the form of it's a new little traffic citation. So we did not have what I would say is an ordinance that was capable of addressing it. It just needs modernization to make sure that we're able to issue these citations. So it addresses timing, yellow curbs, red curbs, fire hydrants. If there is a specific designation by the city of any area for any given period of time for no parking, they're allowed to issue them then. And that's why I say it's citywide. So if we have, events wherever they may be, and the city needs to close off portions of streets and say you cannot park here, this allows citations to be issued.
I did have two quick questions that I think it does relate in a sense now that we're talking about ordinances and or having them approved. In regards to medians that say no parking, how are we handling that? And I'm addressing it because, not saying that I've never parked on a median, because I have. But I'm addressing it because residents have addressed that concern with us, especially the location that is on Albany Street.
We just had some tickets
Okay.
come through from that location,
Okay.
actually, not under the new ordinance. So to be clear, under the old ordinance, you would have to catch somebody in the act, like red-handed, like you're driving, you park, and the officer has to be there because you have to sign the citation. It's a true, full, like you get a speeding ticket. The new ordinance would allow for a parking citation that most people are probably familiar with, where it slid under the windshield wiper. So we are still regulating parking, including the median that was 2 weeks ago at night court. There were citations issued in that area that you're talking about for parking vehicles in the median. So we're still able to regulate that, but you'd have to go find the person and the act, have them sign the citation, and then they did come in and they paid their citations. But that would be something that if the city elects to administratively state, and we can go through as BPD looks at areas, if there's an administrative policy that says can't park there, medians are off limits in these areas, then yes, we can start to go regulate parking. Now, we would need signage. Right.
It's killing the grass. So
Okay.
Go ahead.
No, ask you a second question. I'm just curious for him to explain.
I was reading it and I didn't see it. I had a question about cars that are parked like in the front of a home. And I think one time someone mentioned, well, it's on their front of their property, but technically it's not because renting. I'm just saying, because when you see like cobwebs and stuff after like months and months,
Yep.
I thought they used to tag those cars because it takes up driving space when you're trying to drive on a road.
We do still tag them, and it's a complaint-driven situation typically. So if it's just sitting there not bothering anybody, it's going to sit there and not bother anybody. If it is an issue, I was going to say, if it is an issue, then
Abandoned vehicle.
code enforcement does go out.
There's
Actually, under the property maintenance codes that we adopted last year, we've got more abilities to deal with vehicles on private property that are non-functional or abandoned or not registered. So we've actually, if you go back and look at at our statistics and our monthly reports over the last 3 or 4 months, you'll notice a steep increase in vehicle tagging that we've done. So that is something we've been addressing much more over the last few months.
I'm glad John.
What about them using those areas as their mechanic shops?
These are all very pertinent questions because we have had multiple cases that we've been working. Code enforcement, Officer Prather deserves a lot of credit here as well. He has been citing and reciting. So even if they're found guilty or they go through and they comply, and this is why we're looking to, we're doing a lot in municipal court to try to stop recidivism when it comes to the type of actions that everybody is talking about, whether it's the junk vehicles or the unauthorized operations of a mechanic shop. And so, and I think just as a matter of fact, in a month or two, or next month, maybe, I believe so, that Officer Prather has cited one. We've secured a guilty verdict and a fine in May of this year. They did it again, and it's coming back again. So we are there. That is a priority. That doesn't really deal with parking in a way that we're just trying to cite downtown when people are illegally parking and under this one. And it's giving the downtown officers fits. So that's why it's been about a year and I want to try to get this ordinance in place.
And I would echo, just for the public's sake, is that it's not just for downtown. You started with that conversation. It gives us the ability to issue citations without having to witness somebody operating the vehicle. I think that's the key. It gives us that additional mechanism.
Because there's still due process provided.
Yep,
They still have the
exactly.
opportunity, and there is a good, you could provide a defense. I wasn't driving the car at the time. My son was driving it. That's more often than not the defense, but it's up to the judge at that point. So you have due process, even though you were not caught in the act to do it, to come in and plead your case in a hearing.
Yeah, I just want to make sure because we have those problems throughout the city that they're using our areas where people should be parking residentially and they're using it as mechanic shops and the people can't, and they're junking up the area and all that kind of stuff. So
Right. And that's why I did want to be clear that this is citywide, can be utilized anywhere.
Wonderful. Hearing no. Oh, sorry.
Well, actually, I first wanted you to explain to me, and I think you probably cleared it up. Whenever you, when the person's put a citation on the car and just say it's a whirlwind or I didn't get it, and then court date comes, what?
That's why we drafted this ordinance, is that it is a presumption that you've been served if it's been placed on your car.
And we take a picture that we put it there, I guess.
I mean, there's a carbon copy that will be pulled. We're making the old ones did not have carbon copies. The old ones did not identify your court date and the time in which you were supposed to be in court. The new ones will do both of those, and there will be a carbon copy that will be pulled. The officer will then submit it to the municipal court clerk's office for processing, and that will be sort of our prima facie evidence that you've been served.
Okay. But my real question, I thought of it, how, looking at D, how did we come up with the offense violations dollar amount?
Those are the historic, actually, I increased several of them, but Yeah, it used to be 10 and 15. I mean, there were very low amounts on the old tickets. So
Oh, okay.
I just saw how we are not as high as Decatur and Marietta, but I made it seemingly more punitive. So maybe it'll catch people's attention.
No, it's 25. And then it late 40.
Hearing no other comments or questions, we will give the directive to Devani to advertise for that.
Yes, sir.
It doesn't mean we stop editing. So any more edits or questions, again, please reach out to the city attorney's office. With that, we don't have anything for executive session. We will open it for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Hearing the first, do I hear a second? Hearing the first and the second. All those in favor show by sign of aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the same. Hearing none, we are adjourned.
Yeah, have a nice night.